That's a big one. That's all right. We'll make do. It's not like I'm fishing for 100 grand or nothing. First part of May, we're out on Gunnersville, and if you look around, it's one of the most exciting times of the year you can fish. You know, most of the bass in this lake have spawned. There's still a few spawning, but what's going on here right now, and you can look at the water, these shad are spawning, and they're spawning everywhere. There's just millions and millions of shad in this lake. Really, you can capitalize on the shad spawn all day long. You know, overall, there's probably not a better lure during the shad spawn than a spinnerbait. So, you know, typically first thing in the morning for some reason it's a pretty exciting time to be fishing. I mean, it's just a really good feeding opportunity for a bass to get a easy meal. Typically what I like to look for is not necessarily visually seeing the shad spawn, but anytime you can, those shad this time of year will follow a spinnerbait. Like you'll feel them bumping into the blades, and they're bumping into the blades of my spinnerbait right now. And anytime that's happening, I mean, and a bass is gonna run up there, sees that ball's of shad, and the shad will scatter, and then your spinnerbait's left there, and it usually gets eaten. So that's one of the things you definitely want to key on, is as long as those shad are bumping into the blades of your spinnerbait, you're probably gonna get bit pretty soon. Yeah, my favorite lures, obviously, I love a big topwater up here. That's what those big ones, they love to eat big gizzard shad. But you know, lower light conditions, a little bit of wind, I love a spinnerbait. If I need something a little more subtle, a chatterbait's really good too. You know, a silver or gold blade on a white chatterbait, I don't think there's anything that can mimic a shad better. But you can see, this is just a basic spinnerbait. It's a 1/2 ounce War Eagle spinnerbait. And I like to put just like a Zoom split tail trailer on it. I always like a trailer on my spinnerbait. I think they just get the hook a little bit better. You know, it doesn't happen but this time of year when the shad spawn's going on, but they're literally, when you pull your spinnerbait out of the water when it's good, there'll be a whole ball of shad, 10 or 15 good sized shad around your spinnerbait. And you generally try to match the size blade to the size bait in the lake. You don't want real big blades on there, because that adds lift and it'll pull the bait up off the bottom. I mean, I'm sitting in 10 foot right here, and the grass I'm fishing is about in 6. So this is a 1/2 ounce spinnerbait, and I'm counting it down. I'm letting it go down 4 or 5 feet, and then I'm starting my retrieve, and I'm right in the grass already. And it's not a slow retrieve, I wouldn't call it, but I wouldn't call it a quick retrieve either. It's just a good steady retrieve, hitting as much stuff down there as I can. And then you get a bite. Another small one. But where there's small ones, there's probably some big ones. This is a main river bar. It's on the back side of the river channel, and it's a narrow strip of grass. And you can see it right there on my graph. It's just a little hump, or a little ridge, 10 foot of water, and the grass comes up to about 6 feet from the surface. I'm just trying to run this spinnerbait through that little ridge of grass. Oh my gosh, what a bite. And it's a lot of times when those shad are following it, they'll come up there and get a shad and not get your spinnerbait, and they'll hit it like that. That's probably what exactly happened, because those shad are all over my bait right now. One little trick that I learned on this particular river, especially on a cloudy day, is I like gold blades. For some reason, the shad tend to follow that gold blade better. And you know, the shad really aren't gold looking in the Tennessee River. They're kind of silver, but I really do like a gold blade. I'm probably just gonna make just a little bit of adjustment and see if it makes a difference where some of these fish start getting the bait a little better. I keep just a box of blades like this in my boat. It's real simple just to make a little quick adjustment to your bait. I know it doesn't seem like much, but something that simple can make a difference at the end of the day on how many bites you get. So now we got 2 gold blades. There you go. Gosh, another small one, but still. We'll eventually run into some bigger ones in a minute. There's just a little bit of activity right there, and that's right where I got those bites. You can see the shad starting to come up, so there's a school of fish right there. Some really, really hard grass right there. It's growing, it's healthy, and that's why those fish are right there on that spot. The shad like to spawn on the hardest stuff around, and that's that patch of grass where those bass are hanging. The whole setup here for my spinnerbait, this is a 7-1 medium heavy. It's kind of a fast action rod. I've got a 6.8 to 1 lose reel, which is it's kind of a medium retrieve reel, and this is 16-pound gamma fluorocarbon. It's you know, that's pretty much been my spinnerbait setup as long as I've been fishing. Generally about a 7-foot rod, and you know, if I get up tight and I'm fishing around targets, you know, it's really good. And one of the reasons I don't like a longer rod is, especially like fishing it through this grass, that's a grown one. You'll notice that I like to pop my rod tip some to get a bite. This is a big one right here. Yeah. Yes. That's what I'm talking about. Now they're getting bigger. Look at how fat that one is. She is feeding up. This may be a pre-spawner, I mean, because she looks very healthy and not beat up at all, but regardless, that's a good, nice Guntersville bass. Shad spawn bass. Now, I like to position my boat off. You can see the drop right there going off 9, 10. So I like to position my boat off of the grass in about 10 foot and slowly just kind of work it through that grass and then right down that drop. Morning time, it seems like they'll be right up on top. The later in the day and the brighter the sun gets, they'll work more towards that outside edge and that drop. And I'd later in the day probably try a little bit heavier spinnerbait, like a 3/4 ounce spinnerbait or a big chatterbait, and get it down there on that outside edge. Dude, there's that's a good one, man. Look at this one. Yes, I got him going now. Yeah, look at how fat that one is. Oh my goodness, man. You talk about some healthy fish. Look at that. Beautiful, beautiful Guntersville bass. Looks like a twin of the last cast.